The Virgin Mary's call to prayer in Medjugorje is a profound and urgent message for humanity. Her revelations, particularly to Father Michel Rodrigue, bring a solemn reminder of the spiritual and physical challenges the world faces. On June 15, 2024, the quiet village of Medjugorje was shaken by an unexpected event that would set the stage for a spiritual awakening. Maria Pavlovic, a renowned seer, reported a shift in the timing of the Virgin Mary's apparition, which was unlike any previous encounter. This significant change, with the apparition taking place at 11:30 p.m., marked the beginning of a critical period. The Virgin commanded that prayers be offered near her statue to advance world peace, and instructed that pilgrims could only visit the Hill of Apparitions between June 16th and June 24th. This divine directive came at a time when the world was on the brink of crisis. The specter of a global catastrophe loomed large as two major wars, the ongoing conflict in Ukraine and the escalating violence in Gaza, threatened to engulf nations in conflict. Amidst these tensions, the world stood at the edge of a dangerous precipice. Russian President Vladimir Putin had repeatedly made ominous nuclear threats and military forces. On both sides faced off in high-stakes confrontations, particularly in the Caribbean, where U.S. and Russian naval forces were in close proximity. These events were a stark reminder of how fragile peace can be in our modern world. In the midst of this turmoil, on June 17th, Father Michel Rodrigue, after experiencing an apparition of the Virgin Mary, found himself tasked with delivering a message of urgent significance. The Virgin, deeply concerned about the growing violence in Eastern Europe and the possibility of World War III, entrusted him with a critical mission. Father Michel was instructed to begin a 9-day novena of rosaries, which would conclude on June 24th. This prayer campaign, though it could not fully prevent the approaching catastrophe, was meant to lessen its severity and mitigate the damage of what was predicted to come. The Virgin Mary's message through Father Michel emphasized the importance of prayer, especially the rosary, as a powerful tool to protect souls and bring about divine intervention in the face of calamity. The novena was not only a plea for mercy and peace, but also a call to spiritual action. The Virgin's words served as a divine blueprint for how to prepare spiritually for the hardships ahead. It was an invitation to renew faith, to intercede through prayer for others, and to strengthen our relationship with God. The essence of the Virgin's message was clear. Though the world may face dark times ahead, there is always hope through prayer, repentance, and devotion. By praying together as a community, we draw closer to God's protective love. The spiritual unity fostered by the novena would help to bind the faithful together, reinforcing the power of collective prayer and action. The Virgin Mary's appearance and message in Medjugorje were not only an indication of the serious challenges facing humanity, but also a divine call to spiritual readiness. It was a reminder that in times of crisis, it is not just the physical preparations that matter, but the inner preparation of the soul. In the face of potentially devastating global events, the call to prayer serves as a shield, a source of strength, and a beacon of hope. As we continue to watch world events unfold, the message of Medjugorje becomes more relevant than ever. It serves as a guide to navigating the stormy seas of uncertainty with faith, prayer, and hope. The Virgin Mary, in her infinite love and compassion, is calling us to stand firm in our faith, to come together in prayer, and to trust that God's mercy and protection will lead us through even the darkest of times. Thank you for joining us on this journey today. We hope you feel inspired to take part in this powerful call to prayer. As we continue to face challenges in the world, let us remember the importance of spiritual preparation, community support, and unwavering faith. May the Virgin Mary's intercession guide us through the storms ahead. Please subscribe to our channel, click the bell icon for notifications, and share your thoughts and prayers in the comments below. We are grateful for your participation in this mission of faith. The message from the Virgin Mary is clear. While the coming war may be inevitable, the effects of this devastating conflict can be mitigated through the fervent prayers of the faithful. This divine message carries a sense of urgency, underscoring the power of collective prayer to lessen the turmoil that humanity faces. In the midst of escalating global tensions, a shocking revelation has emerged. France is expected to declare war against Russia, a move that could ignite a catastrophic global conflict. This alarming prospect was not just a political prediction, but also a spiritual warning conveyed through a series of vivid visions to Father Michel Rodrigue. Father Michel, deeply affected by these visions, struggled to fully express the severity of what he had witnessed. The Virgin Mary showed him the horrific consequences of the approaching war, leaving him shaken and sorrowful. Among the key aspects of her message, the Virgin stressed that, while the war could not be avoided, its destructive impact could be lessened through prayer. She specifically highlighted the critical role that France would play in sparking this immense battle, which would have far-reaching consequences for the world. The Virgin Mary's call to prayer echoed with growing urgency, and political leaders began to recognize the gravity of the situation. Serbian President Aleksandar Vučić, for instance, warned of the impending dangers, using the metaphor of a runaway train to describe the escalating situation in Ukraine. He called on world leaders to act swiftly to prevent the full-scale catastrophe. His stark warning resonated deeply with many, underscoring the urgency of the Virgin's call for prayer. In fact, the Serbian president spoke with alarm about how his country was bracing itself for a potential European war, further confirming the prophetic warnings that had been shared. In response to these escalating tensions, the Virgin Mary urged the faithful to prepare spiritually for the coming tribulations. She recommended using sacred religious items, such as the miraculous medal, the medal of Saint Benedict, holy water, blessed candles, and Good Samaritan oil, as powerful spiritual defenses. These tools were not just symbols of faith, but were presented as essential weapons to guard against the coming calamities, both physically and spiritually. The Virgin also emphasized the importance of frequent participation in the sacraments, particularly confession and Holy Communion, as vital means of maintaining a state of grace during these challenging times. The residents of Medjugorje, following the Virgin's guidance, responded with unwavering faith and commitment. Each night, they gathered to pray, uniting as a community to recite 3 rosaries starting at 10 p.m. local time, preparing their hearts for the 11:30 p.m. apparition of the Virgin. This nightly prayer vigil became a powerful testament to the strength of collective faith and the solidarity of the global Catholic community. Through live broadcasts, believers around the world joined in, adding their voices to the chorus of prayer, strengthening the spiritual bond that united them. The urgency of the Virgin Mary's message in Medjugorje mirrors the prophetic warnings that were shared at Fatima many decades earlier. In those apparitions, Our Lady had foretold that Russia would be God's instrument of retribution due to the spread of evil throughout the world. Now, Father Michel Rodrigue's visions and the words passed on to him further emphasize this dire warning. It is a reminder that, while we cannot fully avert the approaching challenges, we still have the power to influence the outcome through sincere repentance, prayer, and faith. On June 17, 2023, Father Oliveira in Brazil received a similar message during an apparition. He was told that the Virgin Mary's intervention was imminent and that believers must pray for peace and protection. These repeated messages from the Virgin Mary are not just calls for action. They are divine instructions on how to fortify ourselves against the dangers ahead. The faithful are urged to act now, to embrace the power of prayer, and to prepare spiritually and materially for the trials that will unfold in the coming months. The message from Medjugorje and the Virgin Mary's call to prayer are not just warnings, they are invitations to a deeper, more intimate relationship with God. By following her guidance and uniting in prayer, we can help lessen the impact of the global crises that loom on the horizon. The power of prayer, the strength of spiritual unity, and the grace of God's protection will be our refuge and shield in these uncertain times. Let us take this call to heart and commit ourselves to prayer, for it is through prayer and devotion that we can find peace, hope, and strength to face the challenges ahead. The prophecy regarding the worsening of global conflict in October 2023 seems to have been set into motion when Hamas launched an unprecedented invasion of Israel on October 7, 2023. This event echoed the warnings given, signaling the start of intense turmoil in the Middle East. Meanwhile, Russia's invasion of Ukraine on February 24, 2022, marked the beginning of a major global conflict in Eastern Europe, which continues to escalate. These moments align with the visions shared by Father Oliveira, which illuminated the deeper, spiritual context behind these geopolitical events. In his visions, Father Oliveira saw angels descending from heaven, symbolizing divine intervention and signaling the urgency of the times. These angels were spread across the globe, urging humanity to recognize the spiritual battles that were unfolding. The Virgin Mary had previously foretold an intensification of the crisis in Ukraine, alongside the occurrence of natural disasters like earthquakes, storms, and droughts. Yet, despite these foreboding signs, she reassured the faithful that Christians need not fear, for God's protection would be upon them if they remained spiritually fortified. The Virgin emphasized the importance of strengthening one's spiritual defenses in the face of the emerging evil. This evil, she predicted, would manifest not only in the physical world through wars and calamities, but also in a profound spiritual battle. In this time of crisis, it is crucial to fortify one's soul through prayer, confession, and acts of compassion, in order to remain in a state of grace and resist the temptations and distractions that the enemy may use to weaken faith. The messages from Medjugorje and Fatima converge on one central theme: prayer and spiritual preparation. The call to participate in a novena, even for those who joined later, highlighted the global scope of this divine appeal. The urgency of the moment is clear. Peace can only be achieved through collective spiritual action, and believers are urged to join in fervent prayer, not only for themselves but for the world. As the anniversary of the apparitions approaches, the emphasis remains on fostering peace through a united effort of faith and prayer. The signs in the heavens, including celestial events and divine intervention through angels, offer clear guidance for what is to come. It is evident that the path ahead will not be easy, but the Virgin Mary's revelations offer both a warning and a message of hope. These prophecies underscore the need for spiritual vigilance, unity, and cooperation. By adhering to the call for prayer and preparing spiritually, the faithful can help mitigate the severity of the trials ahead. In this critical time, the lessons from Medjugorje and Fatima remind us of the importance of spiritual preparation, collective prayer, and the power of divine intervention. Though the challenges are daunting, we are not without hope. By uniting in faith and prayer, we can face these difficulties with courage and determination, knowing that God's light will guide us through the darkness. We are grateful that you took the time to watch this video in its entirety. What are your thoughts on today's message? Please share your reflections in the comments below, and be sure to subscribe to our channel, clicking the bell icon to receive notifications whenever a new video is posted. Let us continue to stand together in prayer and faith as we move forward in these trying times.